Andriau, ar tu mus girdi? Andriau, we have a chairman of Foreign Affairs Committee, and we still have to have Andrius Kubilius, member of European Parliament from Brussels. Okay, Andrius Kubilius is joining us. I think, well, yes, just, okay. Well, I would say let's start because we have a lot of wonderful, great participants of this conference. So I'm very happy for, first of all, the third conference of Kalinowski to be organized. And just a few remarks from me. I just want to advertise the statement we did today. It is being distributed. Well, actually, I will go to Lithuanian. I see I have a translation. Tai šiandien mes paskelbėm pareiškimą.
Today we have announced the statement. So both the participants of the conference and those who have joined the conference remotely, as well as the architects of foreign policy, the chair of the committee of the United States, the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee of the Rigi, Kogo, and many other leaders on the urgent necessity to upgrade Ukraine air defense. We have focused on protecting the nuclear reactors. This document is similar to the one that we adopted at the Lithuanian Parliament Foreign Affairs Committee. So I am very happy that 23 powerful politicians, both from NATO and the European Union, and the former minister of Georgia, Vashadze, have also signed this statement. I'd like to begin with our foreign guest. Well, in fact, it's Andrius Kubilius. We wanted to establish the U4U, Ukraine for United for Ukraine network. The Speaker of the Ukrainian Verkhovna Rada has welcomed us for the initiative. Now I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Andrius Kubilius and to hear what his ideas are. Thank you very much, Mr. Pavilonis. Good morning, everyone. My best regards from Brussels. Well, in fact, I do congratulate the Kalinowski Forum. Unfortunately, I was not able to participate myself. As far as I understand, you have agreed on a very significant statement. On our part, we are here in the European Parliament thinking of ensuring support and help for Ukraine. We are all well aware, and it needs not be repeated, that the Putin's war against Ukraine is the war against the entire democratic world. I am convinced that Putin must lose this war, and we have to ensure that we win this war. We have to win this war not only in the battlefield, where Ukrainian heroes are fighting relentlessly. We have to provide military support to the Ukrainians, but we also have to look forward what is going to happen in the future. The changes are needed both in the enlargement policy of the European Union, and what I have in mind is the integration of Ukraine in the European Union. We also need a Marshall Plan for Ukraine to help Ukraine rebuild its economy and infrastructure. We also need a tribunal for Putin and Lukashenko. At the same time, we need the changes that are inevitable. These inevitable changes will help Russia to transform itself into a democracy. We need to address the problems related to European security architecture. To address all those issues that I have mentioned, we need to join our effort together and to work together. We are able of initiating various strategies and programs, but it is obvious that those strategies and programs and actions plans will not become a reality if they remain only in Lithuania. We have to work and to join our efforts in Western capitals. This is a joint work that will be needed for the coming decade. It will be the major work for Lithuania in its foreign policy, but also a major work for the foreign policy of Europe and the entire world. In order to start working, achieving those goals, we need to think of the logistics infrastructure, military logistics infrastructure, and to bring together the necessary coalitions. Some initiatives are already underway, and I am very happy to say that tomorrow we are going to inaugurate at 12 o'clock Brussels time. You most probably have received the invitation. So we are going to inaugurate the network United for Ukraine. The network currently has 110 members, as far as I am informed, from 27 countries, not only from Europe, but also from the United States of America, Canada, and New Zealand. So we are very happy about that. So we are going to develop the network and to work towards achieving the most important objectives when it comes to the ammunition, when it comes to the establishment of a no-fly zone over Ukraine, speeding up of the integration process and the tribunal for those two criminals. So I would put that in a simple language. Western leaders who, due to one or another reason, sometimes demonstrate too much skepticism, they have to be convinced to follow the example of their electorate. I'd like to remind you that the war has dramatically changed the views of the electorate of the Western countries because they show their strong support for Ukraine. Therefore, Western leaders have to follow the example showed by their citizens, and we have to make use of the Western capitals to develop the network. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrus. This is a wonderful initiative. A similar initiative has been established vis-à-vis China. The Speaker of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine had a dream of having at least several advisors, and now we see that there are so many people willing to advise him. And now I'd like to give the floor to our guest, Congresswoman Victoria, born in Kiev, US Congresswoman. She is the first time in Lithuania. Ukrainians have their own representative in the US Congress. She works every day to stimulate the US to support Ukraine. So the floor is yours.
And pleasure being here. That is my first time in Vilnius, but I'm sure it's not the last time. And actually, I was born in Chernihiv region on the border of Belarus and Russia, so it's actually closer to here than even Kiev. I'm here today to really show and share our support of American people in United States Congress, of Europe, of NATO, and our allies in here, and also our support of Ukraine. I can reassure you there are some things that are awful happening in Europe, but Putin's aggression did unite NATO. Putin's aggression did unite European Union, and it did unite United States Congress. We just passed a resolution almost unanimously in support of Ukraine. We also, the Senate just passed, and I'm co-leading with the Senate, a resolution is to support investigation in war crimes. I think this is a very disturbing situation, and not just investigating Putin, but also general and commanders are making these orders. I think it's extremely important that they should take responsibility in that. And the fight of Ukrainian people, the fight for freedoms and values that they are right now doing for all of us, it really inspired American people and people around the world, and the strength, it's really brings strength to a lot of people. I think it's important fight, it's important war for them to win and for the whole world and for the world order. So I appreciate to have so many strong people, but I also think it's important for us to have some actions and have more actions, because in any crisis you have to have speed and scale. And that is how you win, because the longer they prolong, the more people are going to die. And this is not just a war. This is a genocide of Ukrainian people. This is slaughtering and killing the people that, Putin couldn't suppress. And these people, we need to do whatever we can to make sure these people do survive, because Ukraine will be a great and strong member of European Union someday, and of European community, and of democratic values, because this is going to be people that are going to promote value, not just for Ukrainians, but also that people a chance will have in Belarus or Russia or Belarus or China or, in any other country, Venezuela, Cuba. If these people want to have a chance to have freedoms, Ukrainian people have to succeed, and I have no doubts that they're going to succeed. And I think I have no doubts that European community, United States, and allies around the world that believe in these values are going to help them. So it's my honor, pleasure to be here, and thank you for all of you do. And I think free press is very important to show what is happening on the ground, and I appreciate your interest in that. And again, thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. I think Putin, with your energy, has no chance to stand. So thank you so much. So Laima, our chairman, she was recently in DC in hearings together with Baltic Friends. Maybe you can also say a few words. Thank you.
Ačiū Žygimantai. Pirmiausia, noriu pasakyti, kad mums iš tikrųjų labai malonu.
Thank you, Mr. Žygis. I do appreciate that we see the Friends of Democratic Belarus and Ukraine here in Vilnius. I am very happy that the third Kalinausko Forum is taking place. I am grateful to Mr. Žygimantas Pavilionis for this pleasure and opportunity. Today, from what I've heard from the forum, one thing is sure. We are united by the reality and by the aggression that was launched on the 24th of February. We have this common understanding. So whatever we speak about, be it the Baltic countries, be it Belarus and its democratic future, everything is being decided in Ukraine. It is therefore everyone's duty is to bring our effort together to ensure that the Russian aggressor loses. We cannot afford to win. Democracies cannot afford to win this war. And I believe that we will win. All the speakers of the conference have said that without free Ukraine, there will be no free Belarus. Because in Belarus, we have the president that has forged elections and who has put thousands of people to jail. We know that Lukashenko has allowed Putin to use the territory of Belarus as the bridgehead for the Russian military operations against Ukraine. This is an absolutely new situation which needs an urgent response. I'd like to note that Lithuania is once again looking at its defense strategy, which has to transform from the deterrent strategy into the defense strategy. I am also happy that we have Ms. Victoria Szparc with us. I have met with many American politicians, and I am very happy that we are together today. Well, today two Victorias have met, because our speaker of the Seimas is also called Victoria. Now, I am very happy to introduce to you Michał Kamiński. I have worked with him for many years. I organized with him many summits when he still worked for President Kaczynski. I remember the times when Putin was afraid of us, so it seems that the time has come to scare Putin.
If he would be indeed afraid of us, he would never invade Ukraine. But I think that he was mistaken not being afraid of us, and I think that he was mistaken not being afraid of Ukraine. But indeed, as Zygmunt said, we met together also with Chairwoman Andrikienė back in the European Parliament. We met together in many of our, let's say, huts we had. I served as a Secretary of State to late President Kaczynski, and in the European Parliament, in the government of Ewa Kopacz, and now in the Polish Senate. But what is uniting us all of these years, that when we are meeting together, we are speaking the same language, and we are speaking, in terms of the political language, and we are speaking this the same all the time. We were talking to our Western friends and allies. You should be aware that Putin is not a normal politician. And I remember when I was accompanying late President Kaczynski during his famous visit to Georgia, when the Russian tanks were on the outskirts of Tbilisi, the capital of Georgia, and Mr. Kaczynski, he said in Tbilisi to the crowd that today it's Georgia, tomorrow it will be Ukraine, after tomorrow it will be Baltic states and Poland, my country, as he said. And this is happening right now. And obviously we are looking for answers, and many of the answers we as a parliamentarians from many Western countries are giving today. I would like to emphasize one, not additional, we were mentioning this problem before, but one goal we have before us as parliamentarians in European countries and in the European Parliament. We can, believe me, I have a great experience of working in the European Parliament, 11 years, so we are able to press European institutions to guarantee as soon as possible the candidate status for Ukraine. And this is something which we really can do in every single member state parliament, and as well in the European Parliament, in which obviously we are represented as a member countries. So I think it should be our goal from now, in every parliament, including obviously European Parliament, we should push as strong as possible to guarantee the candidate status, because this is something which Putin has no way to influence the process. He's making his, I think, ridiculous veto. He's claiming that he has a veto right to NATO membership, but he has even no, in his own words, he has no right to influence the internal European decisions and the internal European politics. So I think that's part of the solution, speeding up the process of European integration of Ukraine, because I think that in Lithuania and in Poland, we know better than any other countries how good it is to be in NATO and in the European Union. Without strong NATO support, without the support from the United States, we are feeling every day, and without our membership in NATO, we would be probably even today in the exactly same situation as the Ukrainian people are. Thank you very much, and Slava Ukraini!
Thank you, Michal. Now, I'd like to introduce to you yet another very good friend of Lithuania. I still remember my conversation with Pavel. I started talking about Lithuania. He stopped me and he said, I was in Lithuania, and Mr. President, he was the advisor to President Havel, and he was the one to open the way for Lithuania to Havel. And I'm very happy that Pavel remains with us and that he is getting ready for the presidency of the Council of the EU. So the floor is yours, Mr. Fischer.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, dear Žygis. I am very happy to be here today in Lithuania. And first of all, I would like to salute the leadership of your country, of your government, of your parliamentarians, because you paved the way for many within Europe to understand what is going on and what is the crisis that we have to solve in terms of military means. And you spoke about in times where others were kindly asleep. So thank you very much for this leadership. We are with you. Soldiers of the Czech Republic are engaged in your country, and we in the Parliament will push our government even to increase the presence, the military presence that we have both in Lithuania, Latvia, and we have also in terms of air policing from the 1st of April, duty to cover also the space of Estonia, so 3 countries altogether. I am very happy that we speak about reinforcing parliamentarian cooperation, because there is a struggle which is a global one. UN Charter has been violated by Putin with complicity of Lukashenko, and with complicity, and it is maybe even very important for us as members of the parliament, with complicity of Russian Duma, who approved this by vote. What kind of assembly it is if they, knowing the violation of the UN Charter, what kind of assembly that we have to take into account is driven by this ideology, which is destroying the very fundamentals of international cooperation. This is the reason why we are very pleased to have this gathering today and to be in touch with the highest representatives of Ukraine, with the Speaker of Verkhovna Rada directly from Kiev. This network of parliamentarians, which is about to be activated, is not targeted on one specific issue. It is a global struggle reinforcing democracy and the rule of law and citizenship-based institutions. And this is a struggle which is not local, it is a global one. And this is the reason why I salute this initiative. 3 points for my ending phrases. First of all, today, Světlana Tsikhanouskaya spoke about the very sense that dictators cannot be re-educated. And this is one of the takes I take at home, because this is something that we have to be extremely cautious to. But we, in a free world, we can be educated, we can inspire each other, and we can also reinforce ourselves. And this is probably also one of the pleasures that we have to be here together. Second quote, we can be observers, we can be only sitting in the audience, we can be bystanders, we are actors. And this is one of the topics the American ambassador to OSCE spoke about today. And last but not least, the Speaker of Verkhovna Rada, Ruslan Stefanchuk, spoke about the very choice we have still between slavery and freedom. And this is the battlefield of Ukraine, which is so much engaged in this struggle between slavery and freedom. In this, we can be neutral, but we have to be very clear, and in terms not only as citizens, but also as private companies or members of parliament, we have to voice our support. So thank you very much, Žygis, for this opportunity.
Ačiū labai, Pavelai, ir pats kalbėjai apie vergybę.
Thank you, Pavel. You spoke about slavery and freedom. And before that, Michal spoke that Ukrainians are defending the ideas of the French Revolution and human dignity that were brought by French to us. We have Frederic Petit with us here. He knows us very well. He has his office in Krakow. He was elected by the French of our region.
Can we continue this fight, especially that you are now the presidency of the European Union, from Paris to Prague later? Please, Frederic.
Thank you, Zygmuntas. Yes, actually, I am representing something special because we have this strange system in France that we have constituency abroad, and I am elected in the French Parliament. I am completely French, as I say often to my colleague, but we are representing the 3.5 million of French people living abroad, and I am representing the 200 people living in Central Europe and Germany. I am living in Krakow since '86. I came first time in '86. I know this region, and this I'm convinced that it's not a coincidence that what we are representing, all of us, as double citizenship is very important for Europe, and of course also in interparliamentarian work. I have something that I always say, knowing this region, that Putin put in his re-narration. He said that the Republic of Two Nations was a kind of recolonization or something like that. I think that Republic of Two Nations was somehow the historical European Union. We are today the Republic of the 27 nations, and I think that's something which is not known. And I am a bridge. I am really a bridge to make my colleague understand what is on in this region. I think the war that Putin declared is a war of model. It's not only slavery and democracy. It's also, can I work with you if you are different? Putin say no. We say yes. We have 24 languages, and I think that why it's a very important conflict to solve and to resist for European community is because of that. I am here with my German colleagues. We create an assembly with German. 60 years ago, we are enemy, and now we are working together. We didn't change. We have opposition. We are not using gas. Germany is using gas, and so on. Then I think this kind of symbol that we are different, we are opposite, but we work together. It's something that Putin cannot understand, and that's something he is working with, he's fighting with today. That's the first thing I wanted to remind. Second thing, and I'm glad to say that with the Franak, I think we have a war about truth. And I know that Tikhanovskaya said that plenty of time, that she's not fighting only for democracy, she's fighting for truth. And I think that what we are doing is also something important for that. You know that the French situation now is a little strange because we are leading Europe, but we're also in an election period. I'm succeeding, but it was a kind of special organization in order for the French the Foreign Affairs Committee to go on work because we were in suspension, and we are doing that today. And I think this strange situation for France is, for me, not a problem, and it's proving that we have to work in interparliamentary work because then we have a continuity. It's not because the French Parliament is an election period that I'm not here, that I'm not fighting and working with my colleague. And then, of course, we talk about all the decisions of no-fly zone, tribunal, we act in that. I think that we could, separately of gas, we could make a ban on coal and oil. I think we can do that very quick. It not be the same. I understand that gas is more complicated because of pipes, but coal and oil can be very quick. I fully agree about the Marshall Plan that our colleague said before. we have to say now to Ukrainians, we will reconstruct, we have money, we are gathering this money, we will reconstruct with you. And the last point I will insist upon, because we are forgetting it, in this refugee flow we have half children. We have to put a clear refugee education politic now together. It's not only to organize that we will have few children accepted in schools. We have to train those people, we have to make a clear, we have to use this catastrophe for them, to make them understand and to make this drama in their young life to be a strength for the future. Thank you.
Ačiū labai, Frederik. Ir iš tikrųjų pats minėjai Vokietijos kolegą.
Thank you, Frederick. You mentioned Neil Schmidt, our colleague, Social Democrat from the Bundestag. In this event, we have a wide variety of representatives from a wide variety of political spectrum. We are united, nevertheless. And now we will finish our press conference by Frana Kvečorka, who is a good friend and whose country's independence, freedom is so dear and important to us.
Colleagues, Belarusians, feel your support and solidarity. It is definitely the crucial moment in the history of our country, in the history of Ukraine, Europe, and the entire world. The fate of Europe is being decided right now in front of our eyes. Belarusians did not give up. Despite massive repressions, terror for more than 1.5 years, they still protest. But now they protest not only for free elections and democracy, but also for independence, sovereignty, for truth, for human dignity. Belarusians fight by stopping Russian trains, by disrupting state institutions, by hacking Russian systems to stop the movement of Russian troops through Belarus territory. Belarusian soldiers, Belarusian volunteers joined the battalions on the territory of Ukraine, and hundreds of them are fighting every day and night. Some of them died in defending Kyiv, and they are real heroes, and we are really proud of them. The battalion, which was created by Belarusians, is named after Tarptautinio Kalinausko, same as this fantastic conference. And this is also important sign that our nations know how to fight, have bravery to defend themselves. And it's really true that many European nations, many nations in the world can take Ukrainians' fight, but also Belarusian fight as example. We will not stop until Ukraine wins, until Belarus prevails. We need international support for this. We need to stop the tyranny, because tyranny is like a disease. If it's not stopped, it will be spread more and more. What happens in Belarus, it's the attempt to occupy the sovereign country with no one shot. Russia, under the cover-up of drills, entered its troops on Belarus territory, and right now from our territory, missiles, aircrafts, helicopters are being launched every 2 minutes. Belarusians see it and feel like we are in a war already, and hopefully in the next 2 weeks we will see more and more resistance. This conference again reiterated the support for democracy and freedom fighters, the need for isolation of the regimes. We need to not just to understand that the dictators cannot be cannot be re-educated, but also cannot be appeased. This is the mistake which was made before Second World War, and this is the mistake that can be repeated right now. They cannot be appeased. The world must show its teeth, its strength. International institutions must use all possible tools. There are still mechanisms to bring accountability, to punish the perpetrators, and to show dictators that they will pay the big price. And for Putin, for Lukashenko, they should not enjoy impunity. Again, thank you very much for Lithuanian Seimas, for Žygimantas Paviljonis, for everyone who is here united in support of free Belarus and free Ukraine. We will definitely prevail, and we will celebrate our victory, hopefully soon.
Ačiū labai, Franekai, ir padėkodamas, ir tau.
Thank you, Franek. I thank you and Svetlana Tsikhanovskaya. Following this conference, after the speech of Svetlana Tsikhanovskaya, nobody has a doubt that the Belarusian nation, though previously was accused of not being able to choose, Belarus is for Europe. This is what we have heard today. Belarus is against the criminal war and for not joining and engaging in this criminal war. Do you have any questions? LRT, my question goes to you, Mr. Paviljonis. Latvia wants to ban Russian vessels entering the ports of Latvia. Is Lithuania planning a similar measure, or any other country maybe is planning a similar measure? Well, certainly this is the decision of the government, but we as politicians are for the full embargo of the relations. I would support myself the objective of Ukraine of introducing a full embargo on trade. Well, for some countries such as North Korea, we do enforce such measures because the situation of today is a threat not only to us but to the entire liberal democracy in this democratic world. Should Putin win, countries like China will make their own conclusions, and the number of democracies will decrease. Anyone willing to comment on that? Well, we will continue the conference. We will speak about interparliamentary cooperation, and later on we will hear Catherine Donford, and she will make a presentation on the best friends of Lithuania. And also we will have Mr. Kramer, Mr. Wilson, many American and other foreign fighters for freedom will speak in the second and the third part of the conference. Victoria would like to say something.
Leading the debate, and the House also just did pass a bill to suspend normal trade relations with Russia and Belarus. We just did it on the floor last, so hopefully European countries start doing that more, because I think actions and united response, it's very important, and actions speak more than words.
Thank you, and we are all inspired by this and we will actually do it. Thank you so much, and see you in our conference, and let's have a lunch, dear friends. Sorry for delay.